Alright, welcome everybody. This is going to be a full level walkthrough of the level Reclaimer on the easy difficulty, meaning that some of the strats here won't be applicable on Legendary. Different tutorial later on, coming in the future. And then I'm also not going to be covering some of the more advanced or experimental individual level tricks, such as Wraith Launch or Tank Launch in this walkthrough. But everything in this tutorial should be good enough for someone just starting out with the level all the way up to an advanced runner, and everything in this video will be able to be executed in full game. So let's get started. So this first area is we got to sprint to a very specific trigger volume, which basically tells the Mammoth to start moving forward. Now, typically in Halo 4 we do muscle running every 4 to 6 steps, but the truth is that muscle running is inefficient in many cases. So at the start, in order to get a 22-second split, we're going to do the following sprinting route.
Well, someone's overcompensating.
So as you can see here, I'm not actually meleeing, I'm just jumping continuously because you want to get one additional jump out of the end of your sprint cycle. Now we're going to go back into muscle running here. We are going to run all the way up to this bush. Now, we don't have to go past this bush to do the fast mammoth board, but it's just safer to do it this way because sometimes you won't actually hit it. Now, if you haven't noticed, I'm using HCM, so I'm going to be dumping checkpoints throughout this guide, and I'll have them linked into the description below. But as soon as we get to that bush, we're going to turn around and immediately sprint to this bush right here. It's like rock area. Now for this mammoth board, in order to make sure the mammoth doesn't stop like it is right now, we have to jump straight through the doorway. Now the lineup for this here is we're going to be lining up the edge of this rock with his shadow. And as soon as this hubcap passes the shadow, we're going to sprint forward. And while we're jumping, we're going to hold slightly to the left. So on mouse and keyboard, you're going to tap A. So let's do that here. Just like that. And as you can see here, the mammoth never stopped. If you do have problems with this, just, kind of stay up here a little bit. And you can get on the mammoth. It'll lose a few seconds, but not too big of a deal. So pretty consistent once you understand the lineup. Hey, this is pretty important. After you grab your rockets here, you want to stand in this kind of middle square and just stand still. The reason for this is, depending on where you're standing on a mammoth, loads will happen slower, the mammoths will slow down. But when they get to the crash site dialogue starts, now load happens, we can move up the top of the deck and get our jetpack. Apologies for the loads. Okay, so here we're going to get on this this turret, whatever it is, and shoot this sniper tower. So we're going to do some things that are quite different than the older strat here. So the old strat in full game was to do the super slide and just get to the target locator as fast as possible. What we actually figured out is that if you kill 6 enemies in this first area, it also satisfies the check for the mammoth to progress faster. So it's not based on speed, so how fast you get a slide, it's based on how fast you get those 6 kills. So we shoot that sniper tower so that way it doesn't stun you when you try to sprint. And then we're going to do the following 6 kills using 2 rocket shots and then switching to the BR. So we are going to start sprinting forward as we pass this line, this kind of orange line. Kind of like this. And then we're going to do this kill here, and it's like we missed one somewhere, so there's 6. So as long as you get 6 kills, you are good. And normally you'd be getting shot at by a plasma turret here or a sniper jackal. Since we shot that sniper tower, we're not getting stunned. Okay, so I skipped over that part a little bit, but we're going to jetpack up to this rock. Now, because we took a little bit longer time to shoot those enemies, we want to go a little bit faster in this area, so we're going to go for this following super slide. At the top of this rock, we're going to sprint forward just a little bit, and then we're going to jetpack all the way up, and we're going to aim for this kind of black spot right here on the rock. Now, right before we hit it, we're going to start crouching and jetpack. For a jetpack slide, which is what these types of slides are called, you always jetpack before you hit the slide. Let's do a different one. Okay. And that was very good. So we're just going to continue jetpacking right before we hit the ground. And something like that's good. So now we're going to head for this target locator. Now in a typical run, you want to target locate at 2 minutes and 26 seconds. That is the optimal time. And then we are going to go up this rock right here. Now, as soon as this current objective pops up for the second time, we are now good to boost across with the ghost. And we won't get the death timer. I'm going to do that here. And now the next part is going to be quite important. So watch this timer and check the IGT. So the timer disappeared when the IGT said 5:10. Now you cannot progress to the next load until after 13.5 seconds have passed on IGT. Now I'm going to round this up and say you should wait 14, or in full game even wait 15 seconds, so that way the Mammoth does not deload. We do this because if you go too fast, the Mammoth will deload because it's not fast enough to catch up to you. So 5:10 is our mark. I will show you what to do with that. We're going to wait here until 5:24. Now we're going to go, and the load is right there. Just be aware that you don't get hijacked by the elite. Okay, here I know a lot of people often have questions about how to kill the cores in one hit. So I will snag a checkpoint here. Now the sweet spot for ramming the cores is right to either the left or the right of these little pillars. You don't actually want to hit the center of these green things. So a full speed boost into one of those pillars is good enough. So for this first one, we kind of want to loop around this exploded core so that way we don't get hijacked. For this one, try to splatter the elite if possible, and if the elite starts charging you, go around the backside of this barricade. And then for this last one, this is often the one that people have problems with. Go far left, and oftentimes it still won't be destroyed in time. So you can just shoot a couple shots into it. And now we're about to perform a strat called Early Lich. So let's say you do everything just as I did with the core area. You can perform the trick as I'm about to do it. So this trick is dependent on how fast you kill the cores, because that's dependent on where they'll change the position that the Mammoth will be in as we do this next trick. So I'm going to hurry and explain what it is. I'm going to be boosting all the way down to 0 boost. I'm going to then let it charge back up to 70-ish%, and then boost to a specific location before targeting the AA turret, Forerunner AA turret. Now, it's also important you do not diagonally drive when you're recharging your boost, because that's part of the timing. And if you went slower in the core area, you will just have to get out of the ghost earlier. So I'm going to go all the way down to 0 boost. Let's go up to 70%. And now I'm going to get off at this like kind of blackish brown line right here. Target locate. Just like that. So if you know your target located, but the gun never goes off, this is because you're required to look at the target for about a half a second before you look away from it. So often what people do is they hurry and target locate and immediately look down and get back in the ghost. There is a chance that the game won't register that as a locate, so always wait about half a second to 1 full second before you get back in the ghost. And trust me, you have plenty of time to do this next jetpack jump. So we'll get out here. We're going to sprint in this wall before jetpacking. And now we are going to sprint kind of towards this fin part of the Lich. So if you kind of want to imagine that as you're jetpacking across. Now, you cannot shoot this rocket until 1.5 to 2 seconds after that laser stops. So I looked at my IGT, said 7:09. I do not shoot until, I don't know, we'll do 7:11. This is because there's a different animation that plays after the laser fires, and we have to wait that full cool off period for the laser, and it actually causes the Lich to die earlier. If we fire right away, it will do a long animation death, and we'll actually have to wait at the soft kill barrier. So 2:11. Just run around to the side, get back in your ghost. And see how it's going over there? That's the faster animation. Oftentimes, without that animation, it will go over into this area, obviously slower. Now here you can go over that rock, I'm not going to. Okay, for this next trick, you can delay a checkpoint here just by shooting. Melee, blah blah blah. You can stand right here. So I'm going to show two different methods here. So if you do that delaying, you stop that delaying here, you will get a checkpoint. So this is going to be gap method 1. It's called Catsuit Slide, found by Hark. If this is too difficult for you though, I would say this is more of an intermediate to advanced method. I will show a beginner friendly method here in a few minutes. I'll leave a timestamp. Okay, so essentially what we're trying to do here is slide off this slanted part and land on this bottom rock. The way we're going to do this is we're going to walk off the edge, hold towards the wall, and then right before we hit the ground, like every other jetpack slide in the game, we're going to start jetpacking before we hit the ground. Okay, let's do that again. This time let's get a checkpoint here. There we go. So oftentimes you'll be landing pretty close to the edge, and so it makes it a little bit sketchy. Okay, for our beginner route, we're actually going to be jetpacking up to this very top rock. We're going to kind of get on the top of this ledge right here. You can delay the checkpoint here if you want as well. And then we're just going to sprint across, jump, and then kind of just slowly jetpack. Try not to use too much jetpack at one time. If you feel really confident in your jetpacking abilities, go to that top layer. But if you do not feel confident at all, just come down here. Super safe, you never really die there. And now we're going to continue. As always, sprint into a wall before you jetpack. It gives you a little bit more of that upwards boost. Jetpack up to the top of this rock. Okay, so this next trick is called Dano Slide. What we're going to be doing is sprinting off the edge of this rock, sprinting or jetpacking all the way up, and then jetpack sliding off of this little hill right here. That should put us somewhere in this area. Very simple. Don't go for it if you find it difficult, but I highly suggest going for it. Okay, next thing here is called Sniper Alley, like corner skip, if you want to call it that. What we're going to be doing is throwing a grenade at the base of this wall, sprinting into the wall, and jetpacking. Then you're going to aim over to the right here, and you can land on any of these rocks. Just get out of the soft kill barrier as fast as possible, and our goal is to land right here. If you're having problems with that, go straight up. It's not that big of a deal. And if you go straight up, you'll actually skip an enemy spawn load. So if I was to continue here, you can see that the jackal steps. Actually, no enemy spawn here besides one knight. So that is good. Okay, now that we're here, let's go for the next jetpack. Be very careful here to not be in the elastic barrier for very long, because you want it to reset by the time you get to this point. So once we go out of bounds here, you need that full 10 seconds. So to do this super jetpack here, we're going to kind of sprint into this corner. This one can be a bit tricky, and you should land right about here. You can sprint and then continue forward. Then for this slide, we're going to jump once we get to this corner right here. And we're going to aim for like this little rock corner and go for something similar to that. So that's pretty good. You can get to the top layer or right here, and that's completely fine. And if you are going to die in the death barrier, just jump off early and sprint. Okay. Just going to continue forward here. And then pausing at these loads in the areas faster, which therefore causes the doors to open faster. So even if you're on PC, you should be pausing at these loads. Okay, blue elevator skip, probably what a lot of you are here for. Try to make it as simple as possible, but just try to follow along with where I'm aiming when I do the jetpacks, and then watch my jetpack meter if you're, falling a little too early. Okay, so first things first, we're going to jetpack up here. Okay. And we're going to sprint here and jetpack. We're going to let go of jetpack about halfway up. And we do this so that way we don't actually hit the ceiling like that and bounce away. So that's probably good right there. Let some jetpack recharge and then we can land right here. And you can go up here, just like that, and then sprint over there. Now I'm going to do this a little bit quicker so that way I have a little bit more leniency for the elevator. Watch again. So now we're going to stand in the elevator, and once the doors close, you can jump off like this. Now I'm going to aim for this fourth divot over, just to ensure I hit the trigger. So there's a required trigger right here in the third divot. And there we go. That's blue elevator skip. Now, that was a fast example, so let me go over it real quick one more time. I can't revert because the load will happen faster, but we aim for the fourth divot, kind of do some slow jetpacking across. The most important part is when you're sprinting towards this area, you need to be on the very edge of the platform. This is because there's those little ribs that stick out into that walkway. So you'll constantly hit those. They'll slow you down, either cause you to fall off the map or be too slow. So stay on the very edge there, and then jump and jetpack into this void area as quick as you can. Okay, this next part's pretty simple. We're just going to sprint to the button. Then I'm going to fast forward this part a little bit to when dialogue starts. Stand at this platform. Okay, when Chief says Cortana the third time, you can sprint and jump. For the second time, sorry. If you want to be safe, it can be the third time. But the second time, you're good to go. Or, if you want to just be simple, it's after the load happens. Okay, you can just sprint over here. You can get a slide here if you'd like. I find this kind of difficult. And then jump and jetpack right here so you get sucked in faster. coming out of this checkpoint with this cutscene, just go to the left hit button and you can shoot 2 rockets if you'd like. Clear up some pathing if you have problems with enemies. Just try and snag a checkpoint. Here we can get a slide or just kind of sprint across. I'm not going to use my rockets right now for something later. I just want to demonstrate, but go ahead and shoot 2 rockets. You just need to make sure you have 1 rocket remaining for the end.
Chief, what happened? Your bio readings are all
As
over
well
the
as 1
map.
grenade.
It's a long story, but I know what the Didact's after.
I know that part.
So going into this final area, have your rockets out.
But what I don't know is what she did to you.
So as soon as you can hear yourself walking, start sprinting and rocket this warthog. My apologies there. Okay. I just got stuck because I was driving really slow. Okay, so we're gonna go to the shield door. We're gonna aim for roughly like this black line right here. That's where we kind of want to jetpack up at. We're gonna get out, immediately throw a grenade and sprint and jetpack. Now, there's gonna be 2 different slide methods here. I'm gonna first show the faster, more advanced method, and then the slower kind of beginner method. So as soon as we get up here, we're gonna sprint towards this second little ridge point, and we're gonna jump. Now we're gonna jetpack a little, and then aim for this kind of black spot on that triangle thing,
Infinity, we're at the gravity well.
and get a slide similar to that. You can get one a little bit better, but that's a pretty good demonstration, I think. Now for the more beginner slide, we're going to jump all the way up to the top of the rock here, sprint all the way off, jump, jetpack, and then we're going to aim for this kind of like white mark here.
Infinity, we're at the gravity well.
Something kind of like that. And then that's Reclaimer. If you have absolutely terrible times with both these slides, you can just, you know, jetpack your way down like that and sprint to the end.
We're at the gravity well.
Anyways, if you have any questions, please let me know.